For nearly 20 years, the love story between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban looked like something straight out of a Hollywood fairy tale. The red carpets, the award shows, the hand-holding, the emotional speeches about how they saved each other. Fans believed every second of it. But now, a disturbing question is starting to spread across the internet. Was that love story actually falling apart behind the scenes this whole time? Because according to shocking reports that first surfaced through TMZ, the couple who spent 19 years presenting one of Hollywood's strongest marriages may not even be living together anymore. Sources claim Keith Urban has quietly moved out of their Nashville home, while Nicole Kidman has been spending long stretches of time overseas filming. And here's the detail that's making this situation even stranger. Just days before rumors of a separation began circulating, Nicole was still appearing in public wearing her wedding ring, smiling for cameras as if everything was perfectly fine. No public statement, no dramatic announcement, just silence. So now fans are asking the same uncomfortable question. What actually happened between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban? Because when you start looking closely at the last time they were seen together, the timeline becomes far more suspicious than anyone expected. For years, the relationship between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban was treated like Hollywood's ultimate success story. The kind of relationship people pointed to whenever someone said celebrity marriages never last. 19 years together, 2 daughters, countless red carpet appearances where they looked completely inseparable. But if you rewind their story far enough, you'll notice something interesting. Their relationship didn't exactly begin during a calm, peaceful chapter of their lives. In fact, when Nicole first met Keith back in 2005, she was still recovering from one of the most talked-about celebrity breakups of the early 2000s, her divorce from Tom Cruise. That divorce had played out under the harshest spotlight imaginable. Headlines, rumors, endless speculation. For Nicole, it was a painful chapter that left the world wondering whether she would ever trust love again. And then suddenly, Keith Urban appeared. At the time, Keith was already a major name in country music. Talented, charismatic, and wildly popular. But behind the scenes, his life wasn't exactly stable either. The singer had already spoken publicly about struggling with addiction and the difficult years he spent battling alcohol and drugs. 2 very different people, both carrying emotional scars, both trying to rebuild their lives. And somehow, against all odds, they found each other. Friends who were there at the beginning still remember how unexpectedly intense their connection seemed. Nicole later admitted she had a massive crush on Keith almost immediately, while Keith claimed he was so intimidated by her that he waited months before even calling her. Yes, months. Not exactly the behavior of a confident rock star. But once that first phone call finally happened, everything moved incredibly fast. Within a year, the couple had gone from awkward introductions to a lavish wedding in Australia attended by some of the biggest names in entertainment. Guests included stars like Russell Crowe, Naomi Watts, and Hugh Jackman. It looked like the beginning of a perfect Hollywood romance. Except reality hit almost immediately. Just a few months after their wedding, Nicole had to stage an intervention for Keith when he relapsed into addiction. The situation was serious enough that he entered rehab for 3 months. For most newly married couples, something like that could have easily ended the relationship before it even had a chance to start. But strangely, it didn't. Nicole stood by him through the entire ordeal. Keith later admitted that he nearly destroyed the marriage during that period and that her support was one of the main reasons he managed to turn his life around. From the outside, their story became something almost mythical. The actress who saved the troubled musician. The musician who found stability through love. Over the years, fans watched their family grow. In 2008, they welcomed their first daughter, Sunday. A few years later, their second daughter, Faith, arrived. The couple continued appearing together everywhere, from the glamorous red carpets of the Academy Awards to the star-studded evenings of the CMA Awards. And every single time, they looked exactly the same. Happy, affectionate, completely in love. Keith would hold Nicole's hand like he didn't want to let go. Nicole would gaze at him like he was the only person in the room. Cameras loved them. Fans adored them. Interviews were filled with sweet stories about how they supported each other through everything. Which is why what happened next caught so many people completely off guard. Because according to insiders, the cracks in their marriage didn't suddenly appear overnight. They had been building quietly, slowly, behind the scenes. The first real signs that something might be wrong reportedly started earlier this year, when Nicole began spending long stretches of time overseas filming a new project. Production kept her in England for weeks at a time, living in an enormous rented mansion while working on set. Meanwhile, Keith remained back in Nashville. At first, sources insisted everything was normal. Long-distance schedules are nothing unusual for celebrities. Couples in Hollywood deal with it all the time. But this time, something felt different. The distance didn't just create physical space between them. It created emotional distance too. Insiders later claimed the couple tried to keep things normal by talking every day. Phone calls, video chats, messages late at night. But according to one anonymous source close to the situation, those conversations slowly became shorter, colder, and far less frequent. And then something happened that reportedly pushed things even further. Last year, Nicole experienced a deeply personal loss when her mother passed away. Friends say the tragedy affected her more than anyone realized, leaving her emotionally exhausted while trying to juggle work, family, and public expectations. Some insiders believe this was the moment the balance in their marriage began to shift. Because while Nicole was navigating grief and demanding filming schedules overseas, Keith was reportedly dealing with his own frustrations back home. And according to whispers now circulating through entertainment circles, that frustration may have eventually led to the first major turning point in their relationship. The moment when the marriage everyone believed was unbreakable suddenly started looking far more fragile than anyone had imagined. And then, the story took a turn that nobody saw coming. Because while fans were still celebrating what looked like another happy chapter in the marriage of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, a very different narrative was quietly beginning to leak behind the scenes. The first bombshell report appeared online late one night when insiders speaking to TMZ claimed that Keith had already moved out of the couple's Nashville home. Yes, moved out. Not a temporary trip. Not a tour stop. Sources claimed he had allegedly found his own place in the city, leaving Nicole and their daughters in the family home. At first, many fans refused to believe it. After all, just weeks earlier the couple had been spotted together at a football match during the FIFA Club World Cup event in Nashville. Photos from that night showed them smiling, laughing, and sitting side by side like nothing in the world was wrong. Nicole wore an elegant cream-colored dress. Keith showed up in his usual laid-back plaid shirt. They looked relaxed, comfortable, even affectionate. But here's where things get strange. That appearance happened only 5 days before their 19th wedding anniversary. And on that anniversary, Nicole posted a sweet photo online with a caption that read simply, "Happy anniversary, baby." No tension. No warning signs.
Not someone who quietly
nothing that hinted at trouble. Which is exactly why the internet exploded when the separation rumors suddenly surfaced. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with reactions. On X, fans started digging through old interviews and red carpet clips, trying to find clues they might have missed. One viral post read, "Wait, are we seriously saying Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were having problems this whole time? They looked obsessed with each other." Another user wrote, "Either this rumor is completely fake,
I do love
or
the
Hollywood
fact
just
that
pulled
it
off
is
the
the
most
Clooney's
convincing
that
love
are now
story illusion ever." Entertainment blogs quickly joined the frenzy. Comment sections turned into battlefields.
Incredibly well deserved.
Some fans insisted the reports had to be exaggerated gossip. Others began pointing out subtle details that suddenly seemed suspicious in hindsight, like the fact that Nicole had recently spent weeks filming overseas in England,
when staying
reportedly
quiet would have
renting a
been
massive
considerably
mansion once
easier
owned by
and
Boy George
professionally
for nearly $87,000 a month. And Keith? He wasn't there. According to insiders, the distance between them during that time may have been far greater than anyone realized. Even celebrities began quietly reacting. A few industry figures posted vague, cryptic messages online about how Hollywood marriages are rarely what they seem, while gossip podcasts started dissecting every public appearance the couple had made over the past year. Suddenly, the narrative was shifting. What once looked like a flawless relationship was now being re-examined under a microscope. And the more people looked, the more questions started appearing.
Breaking today,
because according to one
new
anonymous
details have
insider who spoke
emerged
to reporters, the separation might not have been mutual at all. In fact, they claimed something far more dramatic. They alleged that Nicole was still trying to hold the marriage together, while Keith had already emotionally checked out. If that claim turns out to be true, it completely changes the story. Because that wouldn't be a quiet celebrity separation.
No public fallout.
That would be a marriage slowly collapsing while the world was still applauding it. And now a much bigger question is beginning to circulate online. If Keith really decided to walk away, what exactly pushed him to that point after nearly 2 decades together? And just when people thought they had finally figured out what was happening between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, another twist quietly surfaced that made the entire situation even more confusing. Because while rumors of a separation were spreading across entertainment media, something strange was happening at the exact same time. Nicole was still appearing in public, wearing her wedding ring. Yes, the same ring that had symbolized their nearly 2-decade marriage. Just days after insiders began whispering about the alleged split, Nicole stepped out at a high-profile beauty event in Los Angeles connected to the brand Clé de Peau Beauty. Cameras flashed as she walked the red carpet wearing a stunning black gown and smiling confidently for photographers. Nothing about her appearance suggested someone going through a major marital crisis. No tension, no sadness, no hint that anything unusual was happening behind the scenes.
What the King's Trust
And yet,
appearance in
the rumors
2023
refused to
signaled
disappear.
about the direction of the
Entertainment outlets kept digging, and the more they searched, the more puzzling the timeline started to look. Because according to reports circulating through celebrity news circles, the couple had already been living increasingly separate lives for months. Nicole had been traveling constantly for filming commitments overseas. Keith had remained mostly in Nashville focusing on music and personal projects. Their schedules, once carefully aligned, were now moving in completely different directions.